Chosen one. What I want you to recognize today is not a red alert that should drive you into panic, but a gentle awakening. You are standing before an opportunity to change the way you live, the way you view the past, and the way you enter the future. There have been seasons when you waited for a very long time, prayed repeatedly, and cried in silence, because it seemed that none of your efforts had received an answer. I saw every day when you still rose, despite having little strength left, every time you chose kindness, even though your heart had been wounded, and every moment when you wanted to give up, but still tried to take one more step. I have not forgotten you, nor do I disregard what you have endured. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger, protector, and executor of my goodwill, is mentioned in these words to remind you of courage. Michael does not bring a threatening alarm, but stands as a symbol of steadfastness, helping you refuse to return to old paths, merely because you are tired or afraid of what you do not yet know. Your name does not need to be spoken in some secret place before you can possess value. I have known you for a long time, not because you are superior to others, but because you are my child, a human being with dignity, the capacity to love, and the opportunity to grow. I do not divide humanity into special people who deserve goodness and others who are left behind. Every person has their own path, lessons, and timing. What is shifting within your life is first not an external event, but a change in awareness. You are beginning to understand that you cannot continue living through fear, cannot forever wait for other people to confirm your worth, and cannot allow former failures to determine every new choice. When the way you see yourself changes, the things around you also begin to change, because you will speak differently, choose differently, and walk differently. Perhaps what you call a miracle is actually beginning through very ordinary things. An idea you once dismissed suddenly becomes clearer. Someone offers you sincere advice. A small door appears, not large enough to astonish anyone, but sufficient to help you move out of stagnation. A relationship that continually exhausted you begins revealing the truth, helping you understand what must be protected and what needs to be released. I do not promise that one dramatic event will immediately resolve every problem. I want you to learn how to recognize the ordinary opportunities you once overlooked because you were searching only for something extraordinary. Lasting change rarely arrives like a flash of light that makes everything perfect in an instant. It usually begins when you courageously face one truth, correct one habit, and take one small but right action. The obstacles you face are not necessarily evidence of a secret dark force attempting to steal what belongs to you. Sometimes, the obstacle is procrastination that you have allowed to continue for too long. Sometimes it is the fear of failure preventing you from trying. Sometimes you have allowed other people's voices to become louder than your belief in your own abilities. At other times, circumstances are genuinely difficult, resources are limited, or someone does not support you. Yet I do not want you to interpret every challenge as an invisible conspiracy, because this way of thinking can take away your ability to act. Ask what you can change, what you need to learn, and who can help you see the situation more clearly. Discernment helps you distinguish between what deserves perseverance and what needs to be released. Not every closed door is an act of opposition. Sometimes it is an invitation to adjust your direction. Michael reminds you that genuine protection does not always mean that every difficulty is removed from your path. Often you are protected through the ability to recognize an unclear offer before accepting it. Through the courage to leave an unhealthy relationship, or through the wisdom to seek advice before making a major decision. You are protected when you know how to rest before becoming exhausted, when you listen to your body's signals and seek necessary care, and when you refuse to give money or private information to someone who has not proven trustworthy. I do not want you passively waiting to be rescued. I want you to use the intelligence, experience, and support already available to protect your future together with me. Faith does not make you careless. Genuine faith makes you calmer so that you can examine everything carefully. You have prayed for a breakthrough, but understand that a breakthrough also requires you to step forward. If you desire greater financial stability, you need to examine how you earn, spend, and plan. If you desire a new job, you need to learn more, prepare your application, and actively search for opportunities. If you desire a healthy relationship, you need to stop pursuing people who offer only uncertainty. If you desire peace, you need to reduce the things that continually agitate your mind. This is not because I love you less, when you have not yet accomplished these things, but because I respect your capacity to choose and grow. I do not build your future in your place, while you continue holding tightly to habits that destroy it. Perhaps you once believed that you had waited too long and every good opportunity had already passed. But delay is not always loss. During certain seasons, you are being prepared so that you will not waste what is coming. A financial opportunity arriving too early may disappear if you have not learned how to manage it. A new position may become a burden if you do not know how to establish boundaries. Even beautiful love can be damaged if you still carry insecurity, controlling behavior, and fear of abandonment. Therefore, do not ask only when the door will open. Ask whether you have become mature enough to walk through it. Quiet preparation does not slow you down. It gives good things a foundation upon which they can remain longer. I know there are days when the words of others distract you. Someone may make you doubt your plan or continually remind you of former failures. Some people believe in you only after seeing results, yet they do not remain beside you during the process. You do not need to argue with them in order to prove your worth. Allow perseverance, character, and results over time to speak. Yet do not treat everyone's opposition as proof that you must be right. Sometimes those who love you may recognize a risk that you have overlooked. Listen without allowing them to decide for you. Maturity means receiving feedback, examining the truth, and still accepting responsibility for your final choice. Perhaps you are also waiting for a financial gift or support from someone. I want you to remain open to help, but do not build your entire future upon the expectation that someone will certainly arrive and resolve every problem. Another person may introduce an opportunity, provide capital, share experience, or help you through a difficult season. But healthy assistance does not make you dependent, require you to sacrifice your dignity, or use your gratitude as a means of control. If you receive a financial offer, examine it carefully. Read every condition, ask about risks, and do not sign anything you do not understand. A genuine gift does not trap you beneath vague obligations. I want you to receive with gratitude while preserving discernment. At the same time, do not despise the small resources already in your hands. Perhaps you have not received a large amount of money, but you have time to learn, a skill to develop, or a healthy relationship through which someone can guide you. Do not wait until you possess everything before beginning. Use what you currently have wisely. A small amount saved consistently can become security. 1 hour of study each day can open a new career. One honest conversation can lead to an opportunity you never imagined. I often work through small seeds, but you must care for them. Patiently, do not pull the seed from the soil every day, merely to see whether it has grown. A divine interruption in your life may simply be a moment that forces you to pause and examine where you are going. Plans change, appointments are postponed, and expected events fail to occur. Instead of immediately assuming that everything is against you, use the pause to reconsider. Are you living too quickly? Have you neglected your health, family, or important values? Are you pursuing something that makes you appear impressive, but does not bring peace? Sometimes an interruption gives you an opportunity to avoid an unwise decision. Sometimes it is merely an ordinary part of life. What matters is not assigning it mysterious meaning, but responding calmly and learning from it. I do not want you to believe that a clock is counting down and that you will lose every blessing unless you act within a few minutes. I do not guide you through time pressure. Important decisions require discernment, not panic. If an offer demands an immediate answer, gives you no time to think, or prevents you from seeking another person's opinion, be cautious. What is good is not afraid of examination. I may urge you to stop procrastinating, but I do not take away your right to reason. Distinguish initiative from impulsiveness. Initiative means recognizing what needs to be done and beginning responsibly. Impulsiveness means acting from fear of missing out without understanding the consequences. My beloved child, your turning point does not need to be surrounded by grand declarations. It may begin today, when you open a notebook and write a plan for the next 3 months. Call someone who can guide you. Cancel a commitment that no longer fits. Apologize to someone, or stop waiting for an apology before beginning to live. These decisions may appear small, but they change your direction. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. One right action will not change everything immediately, but hundreds of right actions, repeated over time, will create a new life. I know that you cried because certain things did not happen. Some prayers seemed to disappear into silence, causing you to wonder whether I had heard. I heard, but the answer did not always resemble what you imagined. Sometimes what you requested was not suited to your long-term peace. Sometimes I guided you along a slower path so that you could mature. Sometimes you needed to change the way you acted before circumstances could change. And there are things that still do not possess a complete explanation. In those moments, I do not require you to pretend that you are not sad. You can be honest with me about your disappointment, but after you have cried, rise with a new question. What can I do better today? Do not allow the thought of an unseen force watching you to make you live in suspicion. Remain alert without becoming afraid. If someone makes you feel unsafe, rely upon specific behavior when establishing boundaries. If you face an employment, financial, or legal issue, seek appropriate guidance. Do not try to explain every hardship through invisible causes. Truth often becomes clear when you examine evidence, communicate directly, and seek help from the right person. I do not want fear to turn your imagination into your ruler. I want truth and peace to guide you. I also want you to release the need to prove to those who once looked down upon you that they were wrong. Perhaps one day they will see your growth, but your success does not need to be built upon their regret. When you live only to surprise someone, you are still allowing them to control your direction. Live for what is right, for those you love, and because you desire to become a better person. That is freedom. You can remember the words that once wounded you without using them as your only source of motivation. The fuel of resentment burns intensely but quickly exhausts your heart. Let gratitude, purpose, and kindness become a more lasting source of strength. Michael reminds you to remain steady, but I remind you that strength does not mean never resting. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit that you are exhausted. Rest before your body and mind force you to stop. Seek help when the burden exceeds your capacity. You do not lose value because you need someone else. I created community so that people can support one another. A trustworthy friend, mentor, professional, or mature family member may help you see what you cannot see alone. Do not allow pride to prevent you from receiving necessary support. My beloved child, the good thing growing within you is the ability to choose differently. You no longer need to react as you once did. You do not need to return to places that hurt you merely because they feel familiar. You do not have to believe every negative statement once spoken about you. Forgive those who obstructed you, not so that they may return and control your life, but so that you no longer carry them through every thought. Forgive yourself for the times you delayed, trusted the wrong person, or missed an opportunity. Then use the lesson to live with greater awareness. Forgiveness does not erase responsibility, it releases energy so that you can build the future. Now release the belief that only a few minutes remain in which to determine your destiny. You have time to breathe, reflect, and take the right step. But do not use my patience as a reason to postpone forever. Choose one specific task and begin today. Organize your workspace, complete an application, review your budget, call the person with whom you need to speak, or leave a conversation that continually destroys your peace. Do not try to change your entire life in one day. Change one choice, then repeat the good choice tomorrow. I am leading you out of confusion and toward clarity, out of fear and toward faith, out of dependency and toward responsibility. There is no darkness you need to obsess over, because the strongest light within your life is formed through truth, love, and upright action. Be grateful that you still possess an opportunity to learn. Preserve hope, not because everything will automatically become easy, but because you can grow wiser through every challenge. Live kindly without allowing yourself to be exploited, courageously without becoming hard, and humbly without diminishing yourself. I am with you through each small step, and these ordinary, consistent steps will guide you toward a more secure future than any glamorous promise. My beloved child, the restlessness you have felt during recent days is not a warning of disaster. It may be a sign that something within you no longer wants to continue living according to old patterns. You are entering a season requiring greater honesty, because the things that once helped you survive are no longer sufficient to help you grow. I know there are nights when you lie down, but your mind cannot rest, and mornings when you awaken with the feeling that something must change, although you do not yet know where to begin. Do not immediately fear this feeling. Receive it as an invitation to pause, listen, and look deeply into your life. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger, protector, and executor of my goodwill, is mentioned during this season, to remind you that courage is not running as quickly as possible toward the future. It is becoming steady enough to face the truth, release what is no longer healthy, and remain faithful to a better path even before anyone can see the result. Perhaps others have misunderstood you, treated you as insignificant, or spoken unfairly behind your back. Some people smiled at you while not genuinely rejoicing when you progressed. Some supported you while you remained small, but became distant when you began finding your voice, worth, and personal direction. I know these things hurt you. You asked whether you had done something wrong, or whether your presence made others uncomfortable. But do not turn their attitude into a measure of your worth. Another person's jealousy often reveals their own insecurity more than any deficiency within you. Yet I also do not want you to distrust every smile or assume that everyone who disagrees with you is an enemy. Examine actions, consistency, and long-term fruit. Someone may offer direct criticism while genuinely caring for you. Conversely, someone may speak sweetly while continually causing you to doubt yourself. Discernment does not accuse hastily. It patiently observes and knows when boundaries are necessary. You do not need to live in order to prove that those who once looked down upon you were wrong. When you build the future solely from a desire to make others regret their behavior, they are still quietly controlling your life. I want you to succeed because you have discovered your abilities, because you desire to care for your family, create something useful, and live according to good values. Let your progress be nourished through gratitude, purpose, and love rather than bitterness. Resentment may cause you to move quickly for a short distance, but it will exhaust your heart if carried for too long. You can remember the lesson without preserving hatred. You can maintain distance from those who disrespect you while still wishing that they find peace. Forgiveness does not require you to return as though nothing happened. It means that you no longer give the past authority over your emotions, decisions, and future. I know loneliness is one of the things you find most difficult to understand. There are seasons when people who were once close suddenly become distant. Former conversations no longer make you feel understood, and familiar places begin to feel too small. You wondered whether you were being abandoned. But sometimes loneliness is not punishment. It is the space that appears after you have left an old version of yourself but have not fully entered a new life. You are no longer suited to relationships that survive only because you continually surrender. Yet you have not found a community in which you can live authentically. The space between these two seasons can be very quiet. Do not use the silence as evidence that you are unloved. Allow it to become a time when you learn to remain with yourself without running away, recognize your genuine needs, and build a more secure inner life. Loneliness becomes dangerous only when you allow it to convince you that you need no one, or that no one deserves trust. I did not create you to live in complete isolation. You still need healthy relationships, friends with whom you can speak honestly, mature people capable of guiding you, and a community that knows how to support one another. Therefore, use the quiet season to choose your companions again, rather than closing every door. Seek places aligned with your values, participate in meaningful activities, and allow new relationships to develop gradually. Do not give complete trust during the first days, but do not force new people to pay for the failures of those from your past. Maturity means keeping your eyes alert while your heart remains capable of receiving goodness. There are dangerous situations and unwise decisions that you avoided, even though you did not recognize it at the time. Perhaps a cancelled appointment disappointed you, An offer that failed saddened you, or someone left before they could cause further harm. You may look back and feel grateful that you did not become more deeply involved. Yet I do not want you to become obsessed with the idea that invisible danger constantly surrounds you. My protection often comes through practical means, an instinct that causes you to stop and verify, a loved one's warning, new information that changes your decision, or former experience reminding you not to repeat a mistake. Michael stands as a symbol of protection and courage, but you must also know how to lock your doors, read documents carefully, safeguard personal information, seek professional advice, and leave places that make you unsafe. Faith does not remove responsibility. It helps you fulfill responsibility without becoming paralyzed by fear. I also want you to understand that transformation does not necessarily occur through one great event that everyone immediately recognizes. Many important changes begin through quiet decisions. When you stop answering manipulative messages, begin saying no without offering hundreds of explanations. Manage your time, money, and health more seriously. Stop postponing work because you fear imperfection. Or choose rest instead of exhausting yourself to prove your value. These small actions are where you overcome the wall that once held you back. The wall was not always built by another person. Parts of it were formed through fear of failure, the habit of diminishing yourself, dependence upon recognition, and the belief that you must wait until you feel completely ready before you can begin. My beloved child, do not imagine that you have been called to a special mission in a way that makes you superior to others. I do not invite you to seek greatness in order to be admired. I invite you to live a meaningful life. Your mission may be revealed in the way you raise a child patiently, care for your parents gratefully, perform your work honestly, or help someone in despair feel that they have not been abandoned. Some people receive great responsibility before many others, while some change the world of one family by breaking cycles of violence, silence, and lovelessness. No act of kindness is insignificant when performed sincerely. You do not need a stage for your life to possess meaning. You need only remain faithful to the goodness placed before you. Blessing is not a reward reserved for a group considered special. I do not want you to build faith upon the belief that others are excluded so that you can be chosen. Goodness becomes more complete when it teaches you to love, share, and serve. If you receive an opportunity, use it to create benefit. If more resources come to you, manage them wisely and remember those who are struggling. If you receive recognition, remain humble. Blessing is not found only in possessing more. It is also present in your ability not to lose peace through greed, pride, or comparison. Some possess much yet continually fear loss. Others live simply but know contentment, gratitude, and sincere relationships. I want you to pursue not only external abundance, but inward freedom. When you hear that goodness is standing at your door, do not remain seated, waiting for an unexpected gift. Ask which door you need to open through action. Perhaps it is the door of learning another skill, submitting an application, revising a financial plan, or beginning the conversation you postponed. Perhaps the opportunity is already near, but you have not recognized it because it appears small and lacks the glamour you expected. Temporary work may become a place where you gain experience. An ordinary acquaintance may lead to valuable cooperation. A small saving habit can become the foundation of future stability. Stop despising humble beginnings. Many great doors are opened with very small keys. Punctuality, integrity, willingness to learn, and perseverance. An old cycle is broken only when you do something differently. You cannot continually choose the same type of person and expect a new ending. You cannot spend emotionally and pray that your finances will become stable by themselves. You cannot avoid every difficult conversation while expecting relationships to become deep. Examine the patterns that continually return within your life. At what stage do you usually give up? How do you normally react when corrected? Do you tend to rescue others so that you can feel needed and then become angry when they fail to appreciate you? Truth may make you uncomfortable, but it does not come to shame you. It comes to give you the power to change. When you recognize your part of the responsibility, you no longer have to wait for everyone else to change before you can move forward. I do not require you to tear down every wall in one day. Some walls were built over many years and need to be removed one stone at a time. Be patient with your process. If you were once afraid to express your needs, begin with one small conversation. If you once lived without discipline, choose one simple habit and maintain it. If betrayal caused you to close your heart, begin by trusting one deserving person with something manageable. Lasting change does not require you to become someone entirely different overnight. It requires faithfulness to a new direction. Some days you will move quickly, while on other days you may possess only enough strength not to return to the old way. Both are meaningful, my beloved child. Forgive those who could not rejoice when you began to shine. Perhaps they are struggling with scarcity within themselves. Forgiveness does not require you to continue inviting them into every private part of your life. Wish them goodness from an appropriate distance. Then use your energy to build what has been entrusted to you. Forgive yourself for once making yourself smaller so that others would feel comfortable. You do not need to boast, but neither must you apologize for your growth. Let the light within you become warmth that helps others see the road rather than a flame used to prove that you stand above them. Now courageously step out of the old cycle. Do not wait for an overwhelming emotion before beginning. Begin calmly. Write down what needs to change. Choose someone trustworthy to walk beside you. Establish a specific boundary. Complete something you postponed. You do not need to know the whole future before taking the next step. When you live uprightly today, tomorrow will gradually become clearer. I do not promise that you will face no further difficulties, but I remind you that difficulty no longer possesses the authority to define you. You have learned how to rise, ask for help, and choose again. After everything, return to peace. Loneliness is not your name. Slander is not your destiny. Your failures are not proof that you cannot change. Be grateful for the quiet seasons that helped you recognize what truly matters. Give thanks for those who remained sincerely, and even for those who left, because through them you learned to value yourself. Live kindly without allowing yourself to be exploited, strongly without becoming cold, and purposefully while preserving humility. I am not leading you toward a life of display, but toward a steady life in which you know who you are, understand what deserves to remain, and possess enough courage to release what no longer fits. Move forward through faith, gratitude, and small actions practiced each day. The nearest blessing may be the renewal already beginning within you, and from that renewal, a better road will gradually open.